We all know that the quality of education in this country as well as in this region, South Asia, is extremely poor, and it needs drastic improvement. Education is a peculiar sector. Why? Because parents pay for the service, but their children avail the service, and children may not be the best judge, for the service they have availed.
Oxfam India recently did a survey looking at the experiences of parents with private schools, which found that less than 5% were satisfied with the action that has been taken by schools on complaints that they have filed. And in fact, almost 60% of parents said that no action was taken on complaints filed.
Actually, the regulatory system in India, even for the state, is very poor. And adding the responsibility of regulating or monitoring the non-state has been a kind of an extra burden on the state resources, and state capacity being limited, that has pretty much allowed the non-state to go unregulated in many ways too. With the increase in non-state participation, the need for a regulation has become more and more important. So I think that building a regulatory system which allows for the private sector to participate but without deviating from the core goals is the need of the hour in many ways.
So private tutors individually are not regulated. Private tutoring companies are not regulated by the government at all. Private schools are regulated, but this regulation pretty much is rather ad hoc and comes in the form of fee controls, fee caps.
The reality is one government inspector is responsible for inspecting 205 schools in Delhi. If you have a single person inspecting 200 plus schools, it's unsurprising that inspections don't happen.
I think there's also that need to do more than just policing or regulating. There's that a shared relationship that has to be built between schools and institutions and the government to say that we're in this together.
Every time they check what instruction they have framed, like in Delhi, 73 points they check. How the building, the certificate of the fire, health, water, land, building structure stability, government certification. These kind of certificate frequently they check. They don't check the learning outcome and these things because we are a private school. And if our learning outcome is not good, automatically parents will withdraw their children from our schools.
When a school focuses on compliance with regulation, it either focuses on compliance with infrastructure and input norms, meaning, how to pay salaries to teachers, having a nice, good building, having a minimum number of classrooms, toilets, etc. Instead of focusing on learning outcomes, instead of innovating on pedagogy, instead of making the teaching and learning experience fun and engaging for the child as well as for the teachers.
Private schools should be regulated, but the regulation should be progressive, that it includes the private schools rather than have this sort of tussle between parents, teachers, and schools. And the tussle boils down to how much money are you paying at the end of the month. Regulation needs to be a bit more far-sighted than that.
The way all of these non-state actors actually work and start to influence is by championing these, by bringing the numbers and informing the government, like when we're making these larger reforms and when we're talking about larger development, who is being left behind and what's actually happening in the ground.
There has to be administrative capacity to enforce legislation. There has to be a political will to use said administrative capacity. And there has to be an enforcement capacity. It's an obligation on the part of the state to ensure equity and non-discrimination, that all citizens of a country have equal opportunities growing up.